Well, hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie. If this is your first visit, my name is Peter Knowles and I live on this classic Edwin Monk designed motor cruiser here in Victoria, British Columbia, along with the loving memory of my pup Geordie, whom the boat is now named after. Anyway, we're working on it pretty hard to get ready for some pretty ambitious cruising. If that's the sort of thing that you might find interesting, please consider sticking around and subscribing. I'd love to have you. I've basically come up with a scheme to swell up the garboard. Well, I'm caulking it. I'm caulking it with my burlap that I've been using. And what I'm going to do is fill the bilge up to at least the second plank. And that should swell it up quite nicely without adding any real weight to the boat. Of course, it makes it a little more difficult to do the remaining work I'm doing down in the bilge for the floors and the butt blocks and all that. But I have to get a handle on that. It is unbelievably hot and dry here. We're in the middle of a heat wave in British Columbia. That blew through. And if I don't get this under control soon, I'll be doing damage to the boat. Anyway, it's kind of fun because as the water moves forward, the hose is filling the bilge right now. I just catch the spots and get wet. Okay, just for reference, here we are in the forecastle, and I'm hoping the camera will pick up what's going on right here. This butt block here is the one that is at the beginning of the chine log, which starts there and moves backwards. I've showed it to you outside, and it's one of the most problematical ones, and it failed quite badly. And you can see this piece of sapele and this piece of sapele over here. I added these in a panic when these planks started to open up a little bit. So this has all got to come apart. I got to do a much better job of this butt block and possibly blocks both sides and some cross blocking. Anyway, let's see what we can do here. That made that easy. Ugh. There we go. Well, there's an ugly mess. So here's the butt block. Not very elegant and not very many fasteners. And here's now I knew this was going to be ugly. This was the one spot on the whole boat that I was prepared for it to be really ugly. And well, it is. But we're going to make it good. And we're going to fix the other side just the same. Yeah. Alright. These 3 9x1 blocks of 2-inch mahogany are going to be the 3 butt blocks in a row that are going to provide the structure for that crazy butt joint in the forecastle. This is like an all-day job for sure. Glad I'm extending things. That's just one side. Anyway, the other problem is these need to be curved in an arc, so there'll be a bit of shaping going on here. Okay, so I'm shaping these big blocks into butt blocks that are curved, and that's an approximation of where I'm going to go, but basically I test fitted each time. I don't know if you can see that squiggle on there. I've got to take a little more out of that. This of course is very rough cutting at this point with the power planer, but we'll tidy this up in a little bit. Anyway, let's take off what I've just determined needs to come off. Power planing into a hollow is a little evil, I know. Okay, back down in the hellhole. You see I've got the super light going here. See if I don't bang into it. Okay, here's block number 3. Test fit. Actually, it still needs a little trimming off the sides. Darn you, Peter. Block number 2. The middle block. Now that'll slide up in here. And it's starting to feel pretty good. Starting to feel pretty good. It's hitting again here, so I need more off of there. And but the bottom is feeling pretty good. Okay, more off of the middle. And number 1, what do we have here? Probably about the same, I'm sure. This is really complex because it's going at quite an angle as well as the curve. It's a rather complex shape. This needs a little out of the back because it's up here. Yeah. Okay, we're getting close. So now we'll switch from making a lot of dust to making an ungodly amount of dust. Whew. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Well, let me get these out of here, get this all vacuumed out and cleaned out, get these oiled and then bedded. Oh yeah, and then a piece that goes across here. It was a piece of work. Time to do some outside stuff in the shade under the boat. It is hot in here. And dusty. So this flooding the bilge system is working great. Now I've got a hose going up into the chain locker, and as you can see, tons and tons of water is pouring out, but that's fine. Doesn't bother me at all down here, because this is where I still need to caulk the boat. But that one and all of this is places that have to swell up. So I'm really pleased with this. Stay on top of keeping this boat damp, because we have crazy weather coming. Someone said as high as in the 30s for this weekend, and that's tough on wooden boats out of the water. Good morning. Well, in the ongoing efforts to continue to swell lace up, I'm now at the point where I'm pulling this caulking back out because it's actually starting to swell up quite nicely, and I don't want this to be an impediment to it continuing to swell. So that's pretty good, and now I'm at the point where I'm going to continue with the sawdust technique, because the gaps are close enough now that just laying sawdust in above keeps the water and keeps it moist. Anyways, it's basically playing. The woman I was married to for quite a long time used to say that, Peter, you just love redirecting water. She said it's a thing about boys, redirecting water, and it's kind of true. I kind of like it. All right, let me get to it. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 carriage bolts in this particular setup. Holy moly, let's drive them in and put some nuts and washers on. Well, there's the port side super butt. Now, unfortunately, I gotta do the starboard side one, which is underneath the temporary arrangement of my little office here. So it's in there. So this has all got to come apart. This is further complicated that I am still finishing up today's video. So I'm gonna have to like stand here to do the last of the edits. Oh, God. Okay. All right, with it slightly less disgusting down here, let's have a look around. Well, the butt block is probably in pretty poor shape. I can see there were some carriage bolts put through, which we'll have to remove first. First thing I note here is there's another butt block down here that isn't on the port side. However, I'm not going to experience too much ship fitters disease and deal with that this time around. That is for when I work in the forecastle. This and the surrounding stuff I'm going to do pretty much exactly the same way I did on the port side. These are in pretty good shape. After all, they're galvanized. I doubt they're original. In fact, I know they're not original because they're hex. All the original nuts on the boat are square head. Okay, so what do we got going on here? I've driven out 2 of those carriage bolts, which look nicer on the inside than they do on the outside. I have refastened from here through to here into the frames just to give this some stability while I'm working. And of course this side is in much better condition than the port side was, so this should actually go pretty well. Okay, so with the bolts out, I'm going to consider the screws non-existent, so this may just slide out now. Not quite. Certainly wet and rusty under there. Certainly very punky. Oh, appears to be hinging on remains of a screw. Okay, so I've scribed all 3 blocks, or measured them up from the frames. Anyway, let's get starting to carve these. What a pain this is. Well, I couldn't resist poking at this a little bit, and I can see that, like so many others, it simply isn't attached. So Let's do this right, shall we? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Love it. Now that I know it fits, there's a slight angle change here on this plank, and very slight at the bottom. The original butt block didn't take that into account, but I'm going to just put a little bit of a back chamfer up here and a little bit down at the bottom, just to make it fit a little snugger. Just a little bevel at the back. Just drifting out the old broken, rotten screws. Unfortunately, this one was not in a useful place, so that'll just have to get plugged. On the whole, this is in pretty good shape. Oh, I like the way that feels now. I really, really, really do. Okay, let's get some oil on this. I'm getting all oily. And absolutely perfect. Nice and flush. Fantastic. Well, let's have a little look at our bulkhead of progress. Now, I realize you can't read all these from there, but I can tell you that I have not completed any of the tasks that are on these post-its, largely because they're tasks I didn't think would take so long. So this is make fasten floors, this is refasten. All I can really do is remove 2 post-its for day 22 and 23. And acknowledge that many of these tasks are partly underway. Refastening is actually pretty far along. The floors are pretty far along. There's some other things here that are moving along, and I'm still feeling pretty good, but gotta keep moving. See you tomorrow.